Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Energy Reduction Advisory. It's a webinar series. And with me today is Edmond Lascaris. And Edmond, I'm going to let you take away because we've already introduced you to everybody. But you're going to tell us who you are, what you do, where you do it, and why and how. Off you go.
Thank you, Melanie. My name's Edmond Lascaris. I work at local government in Melbourne, Australia. And for the last 10 years, I've been doing outreach education in local schools here in Melbourne, related to sustainability and climate change, and education around energy management principles as well. And one of the engagement tools that I've found most successful with young people is a small computer called a Raspberry Pi. And I actually do have one here just in my hands. It's a beautiful little innovation developed in the UK specifically for students attending school. It's designed to improve computer literacy, but we find that they actually need these little devices to learn a little bit more about their environment. And we can use it now, it seems, in schools where there's energy management systems in place and monitoring systems.
Wow. Now, Edmond, just some background for you, as we've been discussing in the previous webinars in this series. All of the schools in England have received an energy reduction grant. It's the first one. There will be a second tranche payment later on this year. They received their first payment in December 2022. And that some schools received 10,000. It all depends on their pupil, the size of the school estate and their pupil numbers. Some schools and colleges received anything upwards of 50 to 100,000 pounds. And the object of the exercise is not for them to use it to pay an energy bill. It is not to pay an energy bill or to supplement anything else or support their budgets. The payment was made so that they can start the process of an energy reduction strategy in their schools that will then roll out throughout their estates. And what we wanted to speak with you about is you've been working on this project.
Smart cities.
Smart cities.
Yes, well, the origin of the smart cities was to develop environmental sensors. So students could build the sensors, help deploy them, and then gather data. Initially, we were interested in local animals such as the platypus and frogs, which were living in local waterways. So we had to develop water level sensors, pH, temperature, conductivity sensors. The idea was because the students were now getting data from the environment and they were attached to they were concerned about the animals, they were more engaged with the data sets they were obtaining. And now that Smart Cities course has evolved into a tiny house course, we're developing the same temperature sensors, which we use for waterways. We can also use for these built environments to monitor the energy performance of these small structures. And obviously, students still enjoy building the tiny houses and the sensors go with it. And what we do is we, using the Raspberry Pis again, we teach them how to get the data from the sensors in the tiny houses, interpret the data, dashboard it. All that software is provided through the Raspberry Pi, and it could well be applied to schools in the UK as well.
Now, Edmond, we've been working together the last, we've been communicating in the last 2 years about this, and we've taken all of the content that you've created, all of the teacher training, all of the lesson plans, absolutely everything, and we've put it into a package which is going to be included with the energy reduction package that Educcate Global is making available to all schools in England. And the reason that we're doing this is because it's all very well for estates managers and business managers to think, oh, well, we'll just put some solar panels on our roofs. It doesn't quite work like that. When you have the foundational knowledge of climate literacy, sustainability, carbon literacy, which you would have also learned in the webinar with Professor Petra Moulton-Hill of NTU, it's important to have a checklist and to have that foundational knowledge. Why do you feel that the children, the students, are best placed to be using this Raspberry Pi system with your lessons to connect to the API of the Centrica energy monitoring system? What does that do? What good does it do, Edmond? Tell us.
Well, it probably assists with what we call inquiry-based learning. With the Centrica system, you've already got sensors in the school, sending data to the cloud. It's very easy for the students to download that data onto their Raspberry Pi and then graph the data, because it does it automatically as it's receiving the data. I guess that will help answer or facilitate questioning and answering about where the energy is being spent within the school and possible solutions that students may come up with in terms of how to reduce some of these, the energy consumption as well. So I think they do need the data, and they need to feel as if they're part of the process of capturing the data and presenting it to their peers and even to their teachers. I think it's a very important process.
So these are now the young citizen scientists of the future. These are what we would call transition engineers of the future.
Exactly. And if it can be applied in the classroom, it can be applied anywhere. Obviously, my love is for waterways and the natural environment. We have sensors there, but there's a huge advantage in using sensors in the classroom and the school because it's right on your doorstep. And the same principles will apply. Once they, again, working with the professionals who provide the Centrica equipment, they'll probably get to see firsthand what these sensors look like physically. And then it sort of demystifies the process of where that data is going, what it looks like, the frequency of the data, and they can even check the data on weekends if they choose, or holidays, because the data never stops.
I love it. I've recently gone back to school myself. It's a long story, and I'm doing my GCSE maths. Long story. 50 years old, I've gone back to school, and I'm only just starting to learn about median, mode, mean. I'm thinking, why didn't I learn this stuff then? What happened? And it's now that I'm seeing data and I'm seeing the frequency table and thinking, oh, now I know what we can do with it. So it all fits within the curriculum. So it's your STEM. So this is STEM, but it's also environmental engineering. You need to stand corrected on that, Edmond.
That's correct. I easily say environmental engineering. And I forgot to mention before that if you've got photovoltaic panels or other renewable energy infrastructure at the school, even if it's small and experimental, that's all data too. So the school may already have a photovoltaic system attached to the roof. That's also sending some really important data about how much energy it captures. And also if you've got energy monitoring devices not attached to the photovoltaic panels, but just generally going into the school, you can see what the demand is for the school for energy at the same time as the photovoltaic panels are producing energy as well. So there's many dimensions here. I think it just equips the students better for this next chapter of their lives, which will involve a lot of sensors. We call it the Internet of Things, and really has to start at the school, I think. So they've got the perfect foundation for later on, and perhaps even it may inform their career choice.
Edmond, what is the age range that you feel that your lessons cover? Are they predominantly secondary school age, high school pupils, or can it be primary school, sort of year 4, 5 upwards?
We start in the junior levels, but it also goes all the way through secondary school. The nature of the course is that it's progressive, it's very modular. So for example, with primary school students, we can write just a small amount of code to get data from a water level sensor or other sensor which they have in their school. Obviously, when you get to the more senior levels, you can, a lot of the students still will have to start at the very basics, but making it modular and simple, step by step, you can advance to very progressive areas which you'd find at university level. I think that's it's quite blurry these days in terms of what students know and what students can progress with, especially in the ICT sort of field. And every day now, I'm actually, as well as teaching, I'm learning for the most advanced students, because within about year 9, year 10 level, or when they get to 16, 17, 18, they've probably surpassed my knowledge, and that's in some areas.
Wow. So what we're going to be doing, folks, is for those schools that are interested in this package, we are providing you with the world's leading experts in energy reduction, and individuals like Edmond who are experts in their field. I know you're in Melbourne, it's your Melbourne regional government, that's who you're doing this for. And this project was created for all of the schools in Melbourne. But we've seen the real world applications and how that program can be used here in England, in the United Kingdom, and all over the world. But you've got an energy reduction package. and you get the Centrica energy monitoring system. You may already have it. We can talk to you, we can advise you and send you on to the specialists at Americo that do all the insulation packages, absolutely everything. But this entry-level package is for those schools that haven't done anything before. Monitor your energy, get the children to be doing Edmond's program and working through with Raspberry Pi so that they can see this real-time, real-world data 24/7. They can download that data, and then we're going to be speaking with Professor Susan Crumdyke at Heriot-Watt University, and we're going to be looking at how we can start developing these very early, what we call transition engineers. When they're little, we call them net zero heroes. And it's all about getting them to see how to use the monitoring systems, use the data, use Edmond's step-by-step processes that he's developed over the last few years. It is awesome when you see it. I will include some screenshots of Edmond's lessons and his training at the bottom of the email so that you can see all of it. It is going to blow your minds. I know all the ICT teachers are going to be salivating. It's all included with this package. And the reason we're doing this is to ensure that your school hits the ground running so that when the second payment comes in, you have the data to hand. You know exactly what you're going to do. You've done Professor Moulton Hill's climate leadership training. And this is no merely a box ticking. You are going to be saving real time, not only saving on those energy bills, energy and heating, but you will also be upskilling your teaching staff, your SLT staff, yourselves, and you will be upskilling your pupils so that they become the citizen scientists and the net zero transitioneers, transition engineers of the future. So this is very, very exciting. And when you see what Edmond has, it's awesome. Edmond, why did you start creating this program? Because when I've looked at it, I've nearly fallen over.
Yeah, I guess it's the power of data, not too much data, just enough to create, I guess, for the young people to create models in their mind that they can then act on. We're trying to create more informed people. And it's quite fun. It's exciting. So let's not deny that when students get to build something and test it, especially when it's hands-on, the maker movement, it's very empowering for them. So we want to give them as much as this opportunity as possible.
Why did you start doing this with Melbourne, with your local government? What was the motivation for the Melbourne to do this in schools?
It started off, again, just trying to deal with some sustainability issues. We had a lot of problems with electronic waste. So to build the Raspberry Pi, we used old monitors, keyboards, and mice donated from a local university. And we were able to set up computer labs just using the Raspberry Pi. So thanks again to the creators of the Raspberry Pi. And then beyond that, because we have serious environmental issues that we need to address, we started building sensors. And then rather than just analyze the problems, we decided to start solving the problems. And we got involved in projects such as smart tanks, which deal with Bureau of Meteorology, or I think in the UK it's called the Met Office. We can get data from the Met Office and feed that into the projects. And tiny houses is a very obvious one. Energy is a big problem these days, cost of living, and even cost of housing. I think young people deserve being able to focus on these problems physically and firsthand, and along the way learn about energy systems, probably a less boring fashion. So it just sort of kept on growing, I guess, based on current issues around the world.
Thank you. And so I know that we've got a scheme of work called I think it's Radical Renewal, and we had a big debate here. We said, do we call them wicked problems or outrageous solutions or outrageous opportunities? And I think that, yeah, I'm still thinking about as to whether we named them correctly. We'll have to put it out to the students and say, what should we name this? Do you feel that these should be called wicked problems? Or do you think that you can create the solutions from them using all of this knowledge and the training that you've got? I want to thank you very, very much, Edmond. We might want to have a Q&A session with you. I'm pretty sure that ICT teachers and the SLTs would love to ask you more about the last 3 years. It's 3 years you've been developing this program.
10 years, actually. The Raspberry Pi was invented in 2012. And as soon as it landed, we started using it in primary schools. So 10 years, but the Smart Cities course, its third year at the Whittlesea Tech School.
Wow. So I'm pretty sure that teachers and head teachers and SLTs and ICT teams are going to want a one-to-one with you. So if they do, they can most certainly get in touch with us. But for the moment, this is all included in your energy reduction advisory package. So thank you very, very much for your time. Thank you for this incredible body of work that you've created and allowed us to include within this package. And we are so excited because we're not having to redevelop the wheel here. We're not working in silos. We're bringing all of the experts together around the world, and we're going to be looking at all of the solutions that they've been working on. So the next speaker in this series is going to be Professor Susan Crumdyke from Heriot-Watt University. She brought you and I together, Edmond. And she's going to be telling us all about a project she's been working on with her team in the Highlands and Islands. And that is very exciting. And that's also included in this package. So we look forward to working with all of you. Please don't, this is not mystifying at all. Energy reduction, it's a no-brainer, and it's going to save money. Everybody loves that, saving money. So we're going to save money and educate ourselves and prepare the green skills and net zero skills workforce for the very near future. We'll see you all on the other side. Thank you, Edmond. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye then.
Bye.